Today I got a really good deal on a 10-pound box of mushrooms. The only thing is they are starting to turn a little bit slimy and they really have to be dealt with today. I did already work my full-time job today. It is already 10:30 at night. We had some goat issues. There's actually a baby goat in one of my bathrooms right now. But these mushrooms really need to be dealt with. So I'm going to be canning and dehydrating some of these mushrooms and then saving some for dinner tomorrow night. It is going to be a long night. I do have work tomorrow, but that's just how it is sometimes. So I'm going to wash all of these mushrooms. They are sliced, but when I was digging through them, I just noticed they needed to be washed. So I'm just going to dump them in a sink full of cold water, swish them around, and rinse them off. So that's what they look like. Already sliced. I don't know if you can tell in the camera or not, but they are definitely on their last leg and they need to be dealt with. So that's about half the box. I'm just going to fill this full of water. Look how dirty this water is, oh my gosh. So I have these strained and I'm gonna get this batch ready for the dehydrator. Those ones are gonna soak while I'm doing that. So I've never done this before. I've never dehydrated mushrooms. I've never canned mushrooms. I have 2 dehydrators. I'm just gonna put the mushrooms on there, turn them on, and check them in the morning, and then just kind of go from there. And I'm literally just going to do that with all of the trays. I have both of my dehydrators loaded. That is what they look like. I'm actually going to move them somewhere else to plug them in because I'm still going to need this counter space. I have that many mushrooms left from the first batch that I washed. That is how dirty the water is. I do already have all of my canning stuff over here. And then I still have that many mushrooms left. I have the rest of the mushrooms washed. They're in this pot. Next, we're going to add water and blanch them on the stove for a little bit. You want to cook them some, so that way you can put more in your jars and they'll already be cooked down versus just shoving them in your jars raw and then having them cooked down when you can, because then you won't have that many mushrooms in your jars. So it's been cooking for a little bit. I don't know how long, I didn't time it, but the mushrooms are cooked. They're not like all the way cooked, but they're starting to cook. They're flexible. Next, we're going to put the mushrooms in the jars, and then this broth is going to be the liquid for the mushrooms. I'm just using old jars that actually have like labels on them already. I can't get the labels off, but it's still fine to use them. I do have my funnel out just in case. Yeah, I better use my funnel. These are really hot. So I'm going to push it down as far as I can. It's always so hard doing this with one person to see if I'm even getting it in the view. So next I'm just going to take the broth and put it into the jars. And then use my little tool to get the air out. So I'm just pushing the bubbles out, making sure there's no air pockets. And then if they need more broth, I'm just going to add some more in. I have my lids all ready to go. These have already been heated up and they have vinegar in there. Vinegar and water, not just all vinegar. I'm going to dip a paper towel into the lid water and just wipe the top of my jars just to make a nice seal, clean it off so nothing's stuck between the jar and the lid. And then I'm just going to put a ring on and put them in the canner. These are going to cook at 11 pounds of pressure for 45 minutes. I totally forgot I wanted to add salt to these. So the first two I already put in the canner are actually not going to have salt in them. And then the rest of them are going to have 1/8 of a teaspoon. The recipe did call for a 1/4 teaspoon. But I just don't think I want that much salt in them. All right, it is 1:45 in the morning. The mushrooms are finally done canning. I just turned them off. I'm actually going to just leave them in that pot until morning. And then the mushrooms are on the dehydrator. I do have work tomorrow, so hopefully I wake up with enough time to take the mushrooms out of the canner and I can show you what the mushrooms look like in the morning. Alright, it is the next morning. I've pulled all the jars of mushrooms out of the canner just a little bit ago. You can see they're all still wet. So it looks like they all sealed. This is kind of what they look like up close. I'm excited to try these. The mushrooms on the dehydrator are done also. Just kind of break. I'm going to store these in a jar. And those will just sit right on the shelf as is. So here's what the mushrooms look like in the jars. So we got 13 8-ounce jars of the canned mushrooms, and then we have 2-quart jars with mushrooms in them. One is almost full and one's like half full. I didn't want to cram the one all the way full because you want to leave some air in there to shake the mushrooms around and be able to move them around so you can check for mold. I did try one of the dehydrated mushrooms as is. It just tastes like a really dried out mushroom. I don't anticipate that we're just going to be eating them that way for like a snack or anything. So they will be rehydrated and put in meals. Like I said, I've never done this before, so I have no experience cooking with them or anything, so we'll just learn as we go. And then we also have a bunch of mushrooms in the fridge to cook with the next couple of days. Whatever we don't use, probably within 2 days, maybe 3 at the most, I might just throw the rest of them on the dehydrator again. I do hope the canned mushrooms turn out really well. We haven't really been buying any canned mushrooms just because of the price lately. And we've only been getting fresh mushrooms when they're like buy one, get one half off, or I have a coupon for them. So we are actually really excited to have these. I'm going to have to keep going to the Amish store and looking for more to put more on our shelves.